The village of Valensole, a name that makes you think of quiet, peaceful times, rolling hills of lavender, the warm sun of southern France. Life was slow and easy here. Everyone knew each other, doors were left unlocked, kids could play outside without a worry. It was a place where problems seemed to disappear with the setting sun. The year was 1928. The world was getting better after a terrible war, but in Valensole life felt very far away from those scary times. The villagers farmed the land, they celebrated when the crops were ready, they lived simple, good lives. They thought their little part of the world was safe from the bad things happening in other places. This was especially true for the Richaud family. Adrienne and Antonia Richaud were known for their hard work and kindness. They had a good life with their two young sons, 11-year-old Clement and 3-year-old Roger. Their farm, just outside the village, showed how hard they worked. Something very bad was about to happen though, changing their lives and the quiet village of Valensole forever. December 6, 1928. The air was cold. Armand Meiji, a young man from a nearby farm, walked to the Richaud house. He was friends with young Clement. They often played together in the fields, but today something felt wrong. The farmhouse was strangely quiet. Armand knocked. No answer. He called out. Nothing. He tried the door. It opened, creaking as he went in. The first thing he noticed was how quiet it was. Then the smell. A metallic, coppery smell that made him feel sick. He felt a deep fear in his stomach. He stepped inside, his heart beat fast. Every step was like a bad dream. And then he saw it. Something terrible. Bodies. Broken and dead. Blood on the walls. The house he knew so well was now a place of death. Armand ran out of the house. He ran as fast as he could, the terrible image stuck in his mind. He didn't stop running until he reached the village square. Out of breath, he told everyone the horrible news. The Richauds, they were all dead, murdered. The news spread through Valensole quickly. No one could believe it. Then came the horror. Then, anger. How could this happen here, in their peaceful village? The police came to the Richaud farm. Every officer, every villager wanted the same thing, to find whoever did this terrible thing. They started looking for answers right away. The crime scene told a sad story. The family and their farmhand, Auguste Maurice, had been brutally murdered, beaten, and shot. The violence was clear in every bloodstain, every broken piece of furniture. Who could have done this, and why? Inspector Etienne Martinet, a smart and determined man, took charge. He looked carefully at every part of the farmhouse and the fields around it. Slowly he started to find clues. A bicycle leaning against the barn, a gold coin where it shouldn't be, fresh footprints, the kind no one recognized. These small things became signs of hope. The clues led the police in many directions. The bicycle had been stolen from a nearby village. Someone had used the gold coin at a cafe in town. People at the cafe remembered two young men, new to the village, who had used the coin to pay for their coffee. The description of one of the men worried Inspector Martinet. It sounded like Jules Ughetto, an 18-year-old who had worked on the Richaud farm. Martinet remembered him, quiet, shy, but there was something cold in his eyes that had always bothered him. Could this quiet young man be capable of such violence? The second suspect was Alexandre Mucha, a 16-year-old drifter who was friends with Ughetto. The police acted quickly. They arrested both young men within a few days. Their arrest shocked Valensole. How could these two, almost still boys, be responsible for such a terrible crime? The evidence against them grew stronger. The stolen bicycle, the gold coin, and most importantly a pair of new shoes found in Ughetto's room. The tread matched the footprints at the crime scene, but Inspector Martinet still wondered, why? What could make two young men do such a cruel thing? The trial of Jules Ughetto and Alexandre Mucha was big news. The whole world was watching the small village of Valensole, now known for this terrible crime. The courtroom was full of grieving families and a community that wanted justice. The evidence against the two young men was very strong. The stolen things, the people who saw them, the footprints, the motive, money. But both Ughetto and Mucha said they were the killers. But Ughetto blamed Mucha for finishing off the children with stones or pieces of furniture. Their stories didn't make sense and their alibis fell apart. The jury quickly decided, guilty. Ughetto, the older of the two and the one who knew the Richaud family, was sentenced to death by guillotine. Mucha, still a minor under French law, was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Ughetto's execution shocked the village. It seemed like justice had been done, but the memory of that terrible December day remained. The village, once a symbol of peace and quiet, became known as the Village of Crime. The lavender fields, once a source of pride, now reminded everyone of the darkness that had fallen upon their beautiful world.